everyone. I am joined with a YouTuber by the name of Maxwell King. Say hi, Maxwell.
Hey guys, how are how's things?
In today's video, we're going to be talking about Scream from 1996, directed by Wes Craven. So tell me, Maxwell, what do you think of Scream from '96?
Oh, definitely a game changer. I remember when I first saw it, and I knew Ghostface. I saw the costume before I saw the movie because there's all the kids on Halloween were walking around with
Right,
like ghost mask, ghost face mask on, and like black bin bags. That's the rest of the costume. So
right,
when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, so this is why it's popular. Okay, I get it
right,
now.
right, right. When I was a kid, like I said, when being a little kid, like having older sisters in the late '90s, when it was big and popular, they rented it from Blockbuster, and being a kid, I was curious, but my sisters were like, "Go in the other room. You're not old enough to see this movie. You're too young." But of course, like every little kid, snuck in the basement to see what was all the big deal and hype at that time. But as a kid, I didn't understand at the time that it was a spoof of slashers at that time, of franchises, how it basically was a game changer for the slasher genre. Because before, like in the '80s, Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason were big slashers. Then in the '90s, it was kind of like dying down where people were burnt out. And then Scream reinvented the slasher subgenre at that time.
Yeah, 100%. I know before Scream came out, horror movies were just, they were sort of generic and people weren't excited anymore about it. It was,
Yeah,
and then whenever Scream came out, it was like, it's like gave horror, the genres, that big boost.
yeah,
Like, it basically made horror relevant again,
right.
basically.
Because I feel like the '90s gets like a mixed like whether it was one of the it was basically, I would say, like not the worst decade. It was like a hit or miss decade for horror movies at that time, because the '80s was like so like people like were so like spoiled with the '80s. They didn't think the '90s could top that.
Yeah, like 90s, they had a lot of not so good horror movies, which I think people were sort of getting the same old shit. And then Scream,
Yeah,
because it's so like metaphorical and just so self-aware, that I think it was fresh and it was
right.
new.
Yeah, true. Especially how like it was more like the characters, they're aware of like the rules and the horrors of surviving a horror movie, compared to like where in like a Jason movie or Michael movie, they're not thinking about the rules of surviving. They're just breaking the rule.
Literally, I've heard so many people say that, like, especially the first Scream movie is like a manual for horror directors. Like, if
Yeah,
you, which I think is
right,
quite true. Yeah.
right. No, it is. It's also got like a great like the who done it kind of like murder mystery. Like it keeps you guessing on your toes and investing like like throughout the film, you're like process of elimination, making a list in your head, like who could be the potential killers.
Yeah. I who did you think it was whenever you first watched it?
It was between maybe Sydney's father and Dewey to a degree. That was my first guesses when I first saw Scream at the time.
Yeah, Dewey was definitely the one I thought. I was like, it's gotta be
Yeah,
Dewey. It makes sense. He's a cop. That's how he's getting away with it. And
right.
hiding in.
Well, also because, like he said, he felt like the town did not like respect him for like his reputation, and the part when Sydney is running away from Billy Loomis, thinking he was the killer, and she opens the door and he's like screaming like ah, and he goes, "I found this." I'm thinking potential right there.
Yeah, it was just so well done. Like fair play to Wes Craven for like, going from like a monster movie, Freddy Krueger, whatever, and then to a very realistic like movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to copycat like urban legend. There's a lot of
Oh yeah,
movies that
there was a lot of like rip-offs after Scream that wanted to copy that. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Valentine, yeah, Urban Legend, yeah. They definitely did not top Scream for sure.
definitely that shows the impact the Scream had. People saw how successful it was, how fresh it was. Oh, we need to do that. But how do you do it without copying it? And that's
Right.
when
Well, even like we can say like Wes Craven's New Nightmare was like a pre-Scream at the time, until like Scream like really went full forward with what they did in Scream for the full parodies of like reminding us the cliches and the rules of surviving a horror movie.
yeah, definitely. You and I were definitely has the same feel as Scream, like the
Yeah,
cinematography, the self-awareness.
yeah.
Huh,
Yeah. Whereas like
nice.
New Nightmare, like Freddy's coming to life, and this was just like the meta of horrors, and also it has a great like opening scene where you're invested. Like this blonde woman is home alone, she's about to watch a movie, then this random creepy stalker killer out of the blue, like like asking her like all these questions and like torturing her psychologically too, and also how she witnessed her boyfriend. I remember as a kid like seeing that scene. That like freaked me out. Like one of the scariest like horror openings, like right up there with Jaws, Halloween, or Night of the Living Dead.
Definitely. I love how they sort of fooled you. Like,
Yeah,
it's Barrymore, she was big at the time. And you're thinking, okay, she's giving me the main character. Okay, so this is the
right.
one we're following throughout the movie. And then, then she gets killed. You're like, what? And then
Right.
the bold shock factor, which I think was a very bold move. But it paid off, I think.
In
It
a
was
way, it was
very,
like it was like Psycho to a degree.
yeah, it was like you think you're following one character, and then something happens, throws you off, and you're like in shock. And it
Yeah,
was really impactful. It was very
yeah.
well thought.
Oh, it was. It's still like one of my favorite like openings in a horror film. It still can like get under my skin sometimes in a good way.
Yeah, definitely.
When I first showed my dad this movie, he was a little bit spoiled about how that Jason was not the killer in the first Friday film. That it was his mother, Pamela Voorhees.
Mrs. Voorhees,
Yeah. Yeah.
great killer.
Yeah.
Still think it's scary, but you know.
Yeah. What do you think of Nave Campbell's performance in the film?
I think it was good. I think it was. She doesn't shine until at least like the third half of the movie.
Yeah.
Then whenever she starts fighting back, that's whenever it shows it's not the stereotypical damsel in distress.
No.
She can
No.
handle herself, and that's
Yeah.
I think
But as a joke, she basically broke the rules of us trying to survive. Like when she first gets a phone call from Ghostface, she goes outside, doesn't think twice. Like, remember, don't investigate.
yeah,
That's how Ghostface gets in the house.
it's like things got like it should annoy you, but like you know what the movie's trying to be, so it's it does make sense. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Picking that up.
Yeah. Or especially how
Just
she thought it was
fun.
Randy at first, but don't get me wrong, I love Neve Campbell, this character, but as a horror fan, I'm a little bit insulted the part where she says that she thinks that all horror movies are the same. Not true. I could nerd her out and lecture all day, explain to her like there's tons of variety of different kinds of horror movies that are not all the same. I could definitely see Randy as a possible suspect for like other fans thinking that he could have been the killer because he really wanted Sydney, but of course that was not the case, that he wasn't the killer.
Yeah, he would have been definitely too obvious, I think.
I guess,
So,
yeah, good point there. Yeah, I can agree on that one.
our movie buff, and he knows all
Yeah,
these.
my
It would have been too
two,
obvious.
two of my friends who I'm very close with, they're not big into Scream that much. They think Randy is like a stereotypical like horror like fan, which I could see that to a degree. But I guess that's the intention right there. He's supposed to be a stereotype and supposed to be intentionally funny and over the top and.
His character's great. I was gutted when he was killed off in the second one. I was like,
Yeah,
no.
same. Yeah, I was shocked with that. I was like, "Oh, damn! Wow, they really killed off Randy. He didn't come back." And even though it's a different story, but still. And I always crack up at the scene, like when he's at the party drinking beer, and there are certain rules one must order to survive a horror movie.
I just love how offended he gets when they say, you know the rules? They're like, they don't know. He's like, Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules. Really offended by that.
It also cracks me up how they're watching my favorite horror movie, the original Halloween. It's kind of like similar to how in the first Halloween when the kids are watching the original Thing from Another World that John Carpenter paid tribute to, his favorite horror movie, one of his favorite films, where it inspired him to become a filmmaker, and that was Kevin Williamson's way of paying tribute to his favorite horror movie too.
Yeah, I thought it was, and he did a really good job, which I loved about it, which he didn't do with any of the sequels. He only did this one was there were certain tension moments, like say when Dewey's walking into the house with a gun and he's investigating, and you hear the Halloween music in the background, it matches, the scene in Scream, which I thought was really fun. And I don't think, at least to my knowledge, I don't think they redid that in the sequels, but that was really
I don't think so. No, but most, yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, that was Kevin Williamson's tribute to Halloween, his favorite horror movie.
Yeah, you could definitely tell there was a lot of influence. Even like from every horror movie, like there was Easter eggs everywhere. Like
I can agree on that. Especially when you watch the film, you'll notice like some like tribute and references. Like there's all like the opening scene. It's a tribute to One Missed Call with Carol Kane, and
and Freddy pops up as the
yes, that's Wes Craven's cameo as a
it was literally on the nose. It wasn't
right when Henry Winkler's character is like, "Damn little shit! What'd you call me?" Nothing, not you, Fred.
Not you, Fred. Just goes going casually.
Yeah. When as a teenager, like watching that, I didn't like recognize that was a Wes Craven cameo because he's all in makeup and in costume. You wouldn't suspected that was Wes Craven's cameo.
Yeah, I didn't know it was Wes Craven until like recently.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Interesting.
I've never like properly looked at the character. It was like which call it? Then he was back to.
Right. Even some say people like Billy Loomis looks identical, like Johnny Depp in the first Nightmare on Elm Street to some degree.
It's just little subtle things, and even the soundtrack in this movie was great. Like,
yeah, it was excellent soundtrack. Definitely a good horror soundtrack. Yeah. What did you think of Billy Loomis in the movie?
I thought. How are you gonna put it? At the start, I was thinking like he always did give creepy vibes. Like throughout the whole movie, he gives like a really creepy like vibe, like in the figure store with Randy. The way from his physique changes persona. Sorry, and even like crawling in like through the window, like seeing his window randomly, like even though I know that was a reference to. Nightmare on Elm Street 1, whenever Johnny Depp.
Yes. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Good point there. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Didn't think of it that way.
So that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he always had a vibe, and he didn't really have much of a personality either. Like, he wasn't like laughing and joking and making like memorable jokes. He was just always like the quiet one. And just
somewhat.
Like, really job in the group type of thing.
Especially how it's. I thought it was interesting how he compares their relation to The Exorcist. It's like, how is that related to their relationship?
It's always an insult. I was watching The Exorcist and it got me thinking about you.
Yeah, I would say he was a little bit like pushy, a little bit with the sex, and as well, especially like what happens later in the movie.
Yeah, I was amazing. Like telling him basically, "Yep, your mom's dead. Get over it. All right."
Right. Yeah. I don't think he didn't have respect for like Sydney, especially like how she lost her mother. That's it's normal to feel sad and grief over the loss of a loved one in your life.
Of course, and he was just so that's what I mean. Just creepy vibes. Everything he said was just made you question why did he say this. Why is he saying that? Right. And so that's what I think of Billy. Long answer, but
yeah. But like I said, to me, I was just so like shocked in the end. Like when we're like almost thinking, okay, who's the killer? Who's it going to be revealed? And as a teenager watching, the moment when it's revealed who did, I'm like, what? My head like that shock of like, you got to be kidding me. It's like for a minute there, it's like you were convinced thinking he was not the killer, but then. That was the whole point. It was supposed to be that you were led to believe he wasn't, but he really was the killer the entire time. And of course, we all go a little mad sometimes. Shoots Randy, Anthony Perkins, Psycho, Matthew Lillard's character, who you think is like this hippie jolly guy that like there's no way he could possibly be the killer, but nope.
Yeah, Stu. That's the part that got me. I was like, Stu as well. What the fuck?
I know. I know, it's like that came out of nowhere. That Stu was the second killer.
Yeah, like it literally was like he wasn't saying anything. Like I said, like Billy thought the movie was saying these weird things, and then Billy was just cracking jokes. Not Billy, Stu was just cracking jokes throughout the whole movie. So you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
didn't you get a hint that or anything is really
you,
good?
yeah. People have like said like his performance is like it's like he's playing himself because they say in real life Matthew Lillard really is a very nice guy in real life and he's a hip guy, very cool and witty and very friendly and down to earth to meet at conventions. But minus the serial killing part.
Yeah, apart from that, my favorite movie of his is probably Without a Paddle. I don't know if you've seen it.
I did,
But,
yes. I saw that a long time ago when I was a teen. That was a good movie.
yeah, that was an awesome movie.
Yeah,
Oh, what a guy!
and of
What do you
course, like,
think
and of
what
course
do
for
you
me,
think
like, I grew up watching him in Scooby Doo, of course.
of course.
Yeah.
What do you think of Bill?
Actually, this is whether people will agree or disagree with me on this one. Gail was kind of a. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. She was a bitch. I never liked Gail, even from this movie up until like the recent. Because she really all she cares about is like publicity, fame, and like trying to get a good story out there about and especially like she doesn't respect Sid. But it's weird how like despite her complicated relationship with Sydney, but she does have her moment of shining to like save Sydney at the right moment in some ways. I didn't like how she bullied and insulted her cameraman's weight. His death was a tragic loss. He did not deserve to die like that. Believe it or not, this is the same actor who played the older brother Warren, and there's something about Mary.
Yeah, I mean, like in Five, I was gutted when I would do Gail. I was like shouting at the TV. It should have been Gail.
Right, I can see that. Yeah, I can see why. It's funny. Gail was never my suspect, even though she was a bitch. But I don't know why I never thought of Gail as like a possible suspect or killer.
No, and she's funny enough. She's the one character I never even suspected as being a killer, or even questioned about being a
Right.
killer for some reason.
Right.
I don't know. No. But yeah, I could never really get into a character. The moody one
Yeah.
story and it's only out for herself.
Yeah,
So
exactly. She was a narcissistic, in my opinion.
yeah, and then putting her and Dewey together, I was like, they don't even fit. They don't even.
No, no. But then again, in real life at that time, that's how they met. They really were married, like later, and then they divorce, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Have mercy.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think her character deserved to be in 6 movies. I don't think there's anything. She's not
No.
interesting.
No, but I guess it's never a Scream movie without Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers. I guess.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, always never been a fan of this character. Even like throughout the series, I'm like the same old thing. She goes back with Dewey, and then they break up, and she just wanted fame, and yeah,
It's just rinse and repeat.
yeah,
If
true.
okay, I'm going to choose Dewey over the story of the next movie. It just
Yeah.
goes back to that. It's like,
I always do like the part when Sydney punches Gail. I'm like, good for you.
yeah, like, go on, you're another one. But one more.
Yeah, right. Especially how like Rose McGowan's character Tatum was like, like I'll send you a copy. Bam, which bitch went down.
Yeah, the comedy in the movie was very well balanced. I thought it wasn't like forced in or
No, a balance of like horror, scare, and comedy at the same time.
yeah, it felt more natural. Which
Yeah,
is a good thing.
yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah. Also, let's see who else did we talked to. First viewing. Actually, at the time when this movie was made, I guess you would say this was like Wes Craven's like rebound and comeback at the time because he did Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy. That was a big financial failure and bomb at the time, and he thought about retiring from horror movies or just retiring as a director in general. But then he said some kid like persuaded him to direct because of like he's saying, "Oh, the Last House on the Left was a good movie. You should direct another horror movie like that." And he called the Weinstein saying, "All right, I'll do Scream."
This is awesome. Like, you just imagine if you had us just maybe not listened to the kid and just retired.
Yeah,
There'd be no
well,
It's a little bit of just a much more boring world.
Yeah, that then Wes Craven would not be credited as director because the funny thing is before Wes Craven accepted the role to direct Scream, they wanted Sam Raimi, Danny Boyle, Robert Rodriguez, or George Romero. And think about it, Sam Raimi directing Scream because of how different his comedy is compared to this Scream movie. Because Sam Raimi's big on like slapstick, like Three Stooges with the Evil Dead movies, which we've seen before.
I would love to have seen what it would have been like if George Romero had it done. That would have been interesting.
It could have been interesting because even though despite they typecast and thinking that he was only a zombie director, but I think Romero could have done anything else. Like if you look at Creep Show and his other film, it shows this guy he could have done any other kind of horror movie.
Yeah, but I'm glad it was obviously Wes.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's sad that he's no longer with us. But I'm not sure the guys who did the new ones, but they did a good job with the new Scream movies.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah, better than expected. What's that?
The last one, the sixth one, I think, it was perfect up until the last 15 minutes. For me, it sort of went out, but the whole movie before that was
right. I enjoyed it from start to finish, but then again, it's coming from someone who let Melissa Barrera this year, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, and I get it, but the new directors, which I think Wes did better, was that, in my opinion, the killers are sort of more predictable.
Right.
I called them in the last first 15 minutes of the movie, and I was right, unfortunately.
Right.
Wes Craven, that's why he did it better. Because, it was never.
Yeah, well, I was skeptical thinking, not sure of how if the new ones will be as good as without Wes Craven, but I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect.
No, same.
Fair play, great job.
Yeah, especially how the last one taking place in New York. I'm like, oh, this is awesome because I live in New York, and it's yeah.
Yeah, they did that justice. It wasn't. At least they weren't on a boat throughout most of the movie.
Right. Gotcha.
Someone out there is going to get that reference.
Yeah, definitely. Totally. Yeah. The franchise as a whole, it's maybe not everyone's going to like all the sequels, but I enjoyed all the sequels for what they were and appreciated them. I just know the TV show they made a few years back. That I wasn't crazy about.
I was 50-50 with it. Some parts were cool, some parts were just it focused too much on the teen drama rather than
I don't know, it just didn't feel like Scream to me for some reason. I'm just wasn't interested or invested like I am with the original movie and the characters with the original Scream.
Yeah, it had potential, but
I only saw 2 episodes.
Yeah, I watched the whole first season years ago, whenever it was only out, and I kind of enjoyed it. I watched the first 2 episodes of the second season. I just lost interest.
Right, gotcha. It happens. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch upon with Scream, or you think we kind of covered a lot of it, or?
Is there anything else that we've missed? Is there anything else you'd like to cover?
Let's see. Let me see my notes quickly. That's what I always do. Come prepared with notes.
Yeah, I just usually wing it.
We talked about the rules, the meta horror, and the murder mystery. The opening scene. We talked about Stu and Tatum, Randy, and Gay. I think we kind of covered just about everything, really.
Yeah, there's one more question we got asked. What's your favorite kill?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say maybe Drew Barrymore's death scene, or maybe Tatum's death scene. Maybe it's or if I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess I like every kill in the film. What about you?
Definitely, yeah, probably Drew Barrymore's. It had a lot of emotion and impact in it. It wasn't just stab, dead, moving on. It was a full. We're trying to scream out to her parents, and
yeah, you really feel bad for the parents.
Yeah, so definitely that one was a lot of emotion, and definitely it was one hell of a way to open a movie.
Yeah, it was so brutal, her death scene.
I thought you froze it for a second. So yeah, that's at least I think we've covered everything now.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess. What's your favorite scary movie?
What is your favorite scary movie?
Halloween, the original. Every time Drew Barrymore says that the ghost, I'm like, yes, my girl.
Yes.
Yes, my dream girls.
Yeah. My favorite movie of all time probably is Stephen King's Cat's Eye, and ironically, Drew Barrymore stars in it, but she's a kid. The fact
Right.
that he wrote Drew Barrymore too lately, so that's if you ever get a chance to watch it, honestly, check it out.
Yeah.
Check it.
Yeah, definitely check it out for sure.
Yeah, it's underrated.
Right. I'll have to look into it. All right, I guess that wraps up everything. And again, thanks for being a part of this YouTube video collaboration. Hopefully, we can do more stuff like this in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally open to more collabs. Really? Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And remember, people, certain rules to survive a horror movie. All right. Bye bye.